So what we're looking at for our own part is we'd be going servicing the demand for later on this decade. I expect lithium demand will boom and boom even better than it's doing today. If you look at the worldwide situation for lithium, electric vehicles are still on the upswing in terms of acceptance and consumption. But the other thing that we're missing on a worldwide basis is battery storage for infrastructure projects. And that could be a massive consumer for lithium.
My next guest is Miles Rideout. He's the Vice President of Exploration for Argentina Lithium Energy Corp, trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol LIT, and in the United States under the symbol PNXLF. Miles, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
It's our pleasure. Now, Miles, give us an update on what happened since we last spoke to you about 2 months ago.
We've announced our geophysics results on the Rincon West property. So to refresh, Rincon West is our project on the west flank of the Rincon salar. That salar came into the news in the last 5 months when Rio Tinto mining purchased the Rincon mining concession in the central part of the salar with its large resource. And we have the west flank of that salar. We have completed our geophysics program, so that's comprehensive transient electromagnetic soundings across the property. And that has shown us that we have conductors at depth over 64% of the property, which appear to be concentrated brines. So this is exactly what we're looking for on the property. And just a refresher, that property is, I think, 2,370 hectares. So those results indicate that we have better than 1,500 hectares of brines at depth. We mobilized our drill last week. We're drilling now. Our initial drill program there will be 5 holes investigating the core of the conductive zone. And we'll be doing stratigraphic holes down to 400 meters depth, retrieving core for analysis for flow rates, porosity, recovery. And we'll be doing brine assays on all those holes. That program, so that's about 2,000 meters of drilling, that will take us about 4 months to complete. We'll be announcing results as we go, basically upon completion and assay of each hole. So you should see news from us on roughly a monthly basis going forward until September, approximately.
Right. So then what is the sort of geophysical sort of landscape look like on these as a result of this new data?
Well, we have the brines starting at about 50 meters depths, and they'll most of the property, they start between 50 and 100 meters depth on the property, and it depends on the surface topography. And they extend to about 300 to 400 meters depth in most cases. In portions of the project, we can't see the bottom of the brines. So that means that the brines are so thick and so conductive that geophysics couldn't see through them. So if you're looking at our news releases, and we've put those images on our news release, and you'll see areas where we're presenting a conductor strata, and the conductor strata stops without going into the lower resistor. That doesn't mean the brine stops. That means we didn't see through it. So that's a good sign. That means that the brines there could be 400 meters thickness or better. We'll be trying to investigate right to the bottom of the basin. Arbitrarily, I've kind of set target depth as 400 meters. But if we're in productive lithologies in brine at 400 meters depth, we'll push those holes down to, say, 500 meters and try and get to the bottom of the basin.
In terms of the time till production of lithium for Argentina Lithium, what does that sort of time horizon look like at this point?
For that property and for other properties, we are exploration stage. So the way we would do this would be, these are exploration holes we're putting down now. If this program is successful and we're getting good results, we're going to continue to drill out the resource, and we'll also need to put in at least one production well in an appropriate spot so we can do we can pull brines for testing, and we can measure our recovery rates. And at that point, what we're likely to do is to look for a partner for the property. And partners these days might take the shape of a brine extraction technology company, and some of those guys are well financed and can provide financing towards a production project. There's also the battery manufacturers who are looking at with interest at properties in Argentina. And there's also new players such as petroleum companies, and there's a variety of petroleum companies which are interested in getting into the lithium space and kind of using their drilling and basin experience in the lithium space and trying to get into this as well. So I think that there would be ample opportunities for partnering, and then we'd be going forward with our partner towards production, and that would take, I would imagine, say 5 years to 7 years time to get into production. And so what we're looking at for our own part is we'd be going servicing the demand for later on this decade. I expect lithium demand will boom, and boom even better than it's doing today. If you look at the worldwide situation for lithium, electric vehicles are still on the upswing in terms of acceptance and consumption. But the other thing that we're missing on a worldwide basis is battery storage for infrastructure projects. And that could be a massive consumer for lithium. And really, we don't even see that yet. The prices of lithium batteries are still coming down. And so I think that we're going to see really strong consumption of lithium going into the next decade. So our production would be with a view to that kind of market, the big consumers at the end of this decade.
We hear about all of these limitations in South America on the permitting of water usage for solar evaporation. Is that a concern for you guys going forward?
I don't think so. What we're looking at is direct lithium extraction technologies. There's multiple benefits to those technologies. They make, in many respects, they make the processing of your lithium product easier and better. They're also more flexible in terms of the grades that you can use, and you can use the re-injection of the brines once you've extracted your the ions that you want from the brines. You can re-inject into your reservoir and sort of improve your extraction that way. So we don't expect to be a high consumer of water. We actually have water near our or all our projects have access to water. And so I don't expect that to be a big hurdle for us. What we are looking for is improvement in terms of direct lithium extraction. This is a young technology that was in its fledgling stage, say 10 years ago, and it's improved by great strides since then. There are now commercial scale projects being constructed in Argentina. We'll be watching those projects, seeing how well they perform, and the news produced on those projects will be factored into our decisions, how we proceed with the project. But I don't expect that we will be a large consumer of water, and I think that when we require water, we'll be able to access it without problem.
Mm-hmm. And so what about the rest of the permitting environment in Argentina? Is it relatively mining friendly, or is there any resistance, any risk of government intervention?
Well, it depends which province you're in. There's certainly provinces which they've demonstrated they're sort of no-go provinces. And in some areas, this might become or has been a political football. In other places, it's more of a social phenomena, say. When we're talking about the northwest corner of Argentina, so the provinces of Jujuy, Salta, and Catamarca, these are strongly pro-mining provinces. So the provincial governments have demonstrated their support for mining. They're very much interested in looking at mining, working with their own infrastructure projects to develop the Altiplano, the high plain of western Argentina. And then the other part of the package is the federal government. and the federal government has signaled very strongly that they're interested in mining investment and mining production, and particularly on the lithium side. So I'm looking at all the indicators, and I think that they're very strongly in favor of lithium extraction in northwestern Argentina.
Is the company sufficiently capitalized to execute on all of its exploration ambitions?
We're ambitious people. But our current plans, we're fully financed to drill out the Rincon project, and we can certainly get going on our Antofalla North project, which is the next up on the pipeline. So, but I would expect, next year perhaps we'd probably move to another financing step, because we're ambitious. We have a lot of projects in the pipeline. I expect to add new projects. What we're doing is we're looking for high-grade potential. My preference is adjacent to existing resources. I think that would give us a very good condition to get our own high-grade resources. I also look for favorable infrastructure and good all-year access on the properties. So nothing too high elevation. And as I say, good access. I don't like to spend a lot of money on road building if I can spend the money on drilling. So all our projects fit those parameters. And the way we're doing our exploration, the geophysics that we do in front is not expensive. There are different kinds of geophysics which are much more expensive. I have a lot of experience with many kinds of geophysics, so I am a geophysicist. And the transient electromagnetic soundings that we're applying on our properties are fast, inexpensive. They provide direct targeting on concentrated brine aquifers, so we know what depth we'll be drilling, and in many cases, we'll be able to see the bottom of the aquifer. So that's how we proceed. So we can really get straight to our drill targets, know how to drill these targets, budget accordingly, get on to the best targets, and apply our money efficiently. So I don't expect that we waste much money in this application, and we're financed through to next year when we'll be drilling on the Antofalla North property.
All right, Miles, let's leave it there for now. We'll come back to you in due course here and get an update on the situation. Sounds like you're making great progress. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye for now.